On the eve of Holy Easter, I born such a short tutorial. How to weave an Easter egg. At school, my daughter's class has gotten a task to make Easter eggs using various techniques. Of course, we are going to make it in our favorite technique, newspaper weaving. I've seen many Easter eggs made in the technique of spiral weaving on the internet, and I feel like making one myself. I associate Easter with spring, blooming, bright colors. That's why I born two eggs like this. The first one represents soil, early mimosa, early grass and leaves. Besides, we've collected the remainders of tubes I had and made such a multicolored egg. Daughter has made such a tiny Easter egg of elastics. Now we would like to share our experience with you. My first attempt was unsuccessful because I started weaving with no special base form. I tried weaving round the vase but started narrowing at the wrong level. So we continued thinking over this matter, and as a result the following idea was born. We take regular supermarket advertising sheets and shape them as a sphere at first. Paper is rather soft, it is easy to crumple. Make such a ball at first, like a snowball. Make it a little bigger. After a ball has been shaped, we add another layer of paper and shape an egg. As a result, we have to get an oval a little narrower toward the top. Let's add a little more paper. Something like this. The first stage of work is finished. An egg has to be stable, so you press it to make it keep the shape. Now let's use painter's tape to smoothen the shape. We have to regulate the form somehow. With the first layer I just fastened the form. Then I wrap the paper with sticky tape all along, because if you take a thorough look at the finished article, you can see the gaps. So in order to make the foundation seen in the gaps more or less neat and single colored, I propose you to wrap the whole base with tape. At the same time, you continue shaping the base. Continue wrapping the paper until you cover it all with tape. Here there is still a gap to fill. So the form is ready. This is going to be top of the egg. It stands more or less stable. Looks almost like an egg. Then I've taken the tubes of all the colors I have at home and connected them. Light green with dark green, brown with blue, maroon with red, and yellow with orange. As many colors as can be. In this case, in order to keep tubes from soaking, I've used dragon glue instead of school glue. For spiral weaving, proper way of lengthening is crucial. If you lengthen the tubes in the right way, it is easier to weave with them. Anyway, we'll talk about it later. So far, let's soften the tubes. Everything's ready now. Let's start weaving in the technique of a regular spiral weaving. So we start weaving in the spiral technique. Let's place this tube like this. This way. The yellow tube onto the brown one. Now we have to start broadening. So we place tubes not onto previous knot, but next to it. Like this, next to it. This way we perform broadening. We've already woven Christmas tree decorations in the same technique. Now I have to shape it as an egg. It is too early to put a base inside yet. There is nothing to hold it yet. So weave this way so far, broadening the form. Let's try on. This is going to be the top. So let's try on the narrower end. Let's weave a little more and it will be time to adjoin the base. For younger kids it will probably be a little too difficult, but older children are likely to be able to make such an Easter decoration. I believe it's high time to involve the form, since now we are going to weave around the base. When I was weaving an egg, I didn't fasten the form, but if it is a child weaving, you do have to fasten the form to make it easier. The most difficult points are tube lengthening. It will be much easier if your base is held tight and doesn't move. Do spend some rope or thread in order to fasten the article to the form. Where is the end? Here it is. Afterwards you will just take the thread out. So we have fastened the form. Let's continue weaving, pressing the tubes tightly to the form. And it is very important to lengthen the tubes where there are no folds, because otherwise the tubes are likely to disconnect. This way. It's very important to cut tubes in time before you reach the end of the tube, where a drop of glue makes it rigid. Just regular spiral weaving. Your desk has to be unoccupied, the tubes extend rather far. This way. Regular spiral weaving. Press the form very tight, like this. The only challenge is point of lengthening. Apart from them, the process is easy enough. Now it's time to lengthen. Fix the tubes to keep them from unweaving. And cut prior to the rigid glued point. Perform lengthening. I have learned to use dragon glue from Natalia Sorokina. For some types of weaving it is just irreplaceable, because school glue makes tubes too wet and soft. You see, even dragon glue can let you down sometimes. So the most challenging point in weaving an Easter egg is lengthening. But anyway, we will cope with it. Press the following row if something like this happens, and continue weaving. Now it's time to lengthen. After you have woven most of the egg, the narrow part and even straight line central part, we start narrowing. When you have to narrow, you don't place a tube onto the knot, like in the process of straight weaving, but you direct it a little toward the center. Now it's time to lengthen the yellow tube. My yellow tubes are a bit thicker. So we are narrowing the shape. Try to narrow equally in order to get a hole right in the center. I believe there is no point in lengthening anymore. So now let's have a look. Here it is narrower, then wider, and then narrow again. Actually, we have shaped an egg. Our egg is supposed to stand on the table, so we have to provide it with a support. I finish weaving like this. Tuck in the last long tube here. Cover the ends with glue. Afterwards we are going to cut the excessive tails. Meanwhile, let's prepare the support. For the Easter egg to stand still on the table, let's make a small stand for it. It is our well-known so-called pancake. Just take a tube, soften it a little, and start rolling. I don't use glue from the very beginning, otherwise it will stick to my fingers. I roll at least a little to begin with, and now you can start applying glue. So I've started using dragon glue for this article, so let's continue applying it. But actually, this type of glue is good because it is much faster to dry, and it doesn't soften the tubes as much as school glue does. I have connected 2 tubes beforehand to get the tube double. But anyway, for such a big article, 2 tubes is not enough. 3 will be okay. So let's roll a double tube now and then add the 3rd tube. Two tubes are not enough, let's lengthen the tube. Make the cut very sharp. I do cover it with some glue. Spread glue on and continue rolling. The pancake consisting of 3 tubes is just sufficient for our egg. There is another point I'd like to draw your attention to. The pancake has to be a little curved in. So until the glue gets stuck, for the egg to stand on the desk steadily, I recommend you to curve it just a little bit, very carefully and very neatly. You see, it is not absolutely flat. We are going to glue this domed side to the egg. The opposite side is sure to stand firmly on the table. Leave the pancake for a while to dry. It takes very little time for dragon glue to get stuck and dry. Then, while glue is drying, we cut the remaining tube tails. Glue has stuck them together reliably, so you can be sure that the tubes will not unweave. Try the bottom to the egg and see that we need to add 1 more tube to fill in the gap in the egg. Alternatively, we could continue weaving and narrowing. In the process of work, you come to see which alternative is easier and preferable in this case. That's all. Cover the bowed side with glue thoroughly. At this stage you can use school glue, it would be okay as well. Just takes a little more time to dry. As well, you can use liquid glue or glue gun. Now you adjoin the bowed side to the egg. The curved inside is outside. That's all. We have covered the hole, and now we fix the bottom with clothespins to let it get stuck and leave it for a while to dry. Then we take a thread out and varnish the article. By the way, none of these Easter eggs is varnished yet, so varnish will make them more still much nicer. So here you can see the way our Easter eggs look after they have been lacquered. Lacquer hasn't dried yet, but you can already see the result. Before I finish, I'd like to add that, though we have categorized a tutorial like the one for work with children, a grown-up person has to monitor the way children work anyway, because such moments as lengthening require assistance. I hope that your careful hands will keep children from getting disappointed and help them to complete the work in the proper way. Good luck to all of you!